so annoying every time.
Are you?
Hi, friends. iPhone. Yes. So, got the upgrade, and now I'm dealing with all the fallout of the upgrade. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our weekly women's share on how to step into our best self, our full purpose, power, and potential, which, of course, we call geula. And that's really what geula is. Geula is the Hebrew word for redemption. We're stepping out of galut, stepping out of exile, which we know coming right now into Pesach. So now we're into the month of Nisan, the Hebrew month of geula. So the whole month has an energy of geula. This is what our sages say, and this is why we don't even say tachnun during the middle of davening. So there's no tachnun, there's no none of this really heavy levels of remorse, because the entire month is elevated with this spirit of redemption. But a lot of times we have a hard time bringing this concept of redemption down into our daily life. Like, what does it mean for me right now, today? Does it mean that I'm living in the clouds? Does it mean that I'm living all day in a synagogue? Does it mean that I'm just praying all day with my sitter? No, that is not what it means, but it means that we are living with the geula state of mind, and that we are carrying this awareness with us everywhere that we go. And if we can truly live with this level of awareness, everything around us fades. But when we lose sight of that goal, then life becomes very, very complicated. And that's the topic of our discussion today. So we're going to talk about our emotional state today as women. And you can say emotional management. You can talk about emotional mastery. Of course, there's a little bit of a difference there in the nuance. But bottom line here is how we can combat and overcome these emotions in order for us to stay motivated and be our best, even when life gets really hard and ugly and hairy, as it tends to do every single day. And the important thing that we have to keep remembering and just rewiring our brain over and over and over again is that we are limitless. I'm limitless. You're limitless. You're limitless. We're all limitless. That's how Hashem made us. The only limitations are the ones that we allow. Now, interestingly enough, on the flip side of that, it's also true that life doesn't give us what we want. Life gives us what we allow. So each one of us have a balcony and a basement of our allowances. And these perimeters create what is otherwise known as our comfort zone. So if something gets too miserable, we can't take it. And so what do? We go to work, we fix it. Okay? If something's too miserable. In other words, if it has taken my quality of life and my standards too low, like, nope, this is too low for me, it's in my basement. So then I get motivated, I get disciplined, I go to work, I bring in the extra money, or I fix whatever I need to fix, or maybe like I have a one pair of pants, let's say, and when these pants stop fitting, I know I have to exercise, okay? Or whatever the case is. Maybe, if I run out of money and I can't pay rent, then I know I've got to go, take a little bit of a side hustle really quickly and bring in some extra cash flow. But we all have our basement of the bottom line of our own quality of life and standards of living that we allow for ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? Same way on the upper end. We also have a balcony, upper limits of, people do this all the time, by the way, with money, with relationships, with their physical physique, because I have decided somewhere along in my life, based on the stories I tell myself, remember we've had weeks and weeks of discussions on the stories we tell ourselves and the web that we weave. And these stories are made up from our past experiences, and these are split-second stories that we tell ourselves to justify our reality. And we know that justification is just one of the top 3 symptoms of living life as a victim. But if I'm justifying my situation, it means that I'm allowing myself to stay small, to stay where I am. But these upper limits, so for example, if I all of a sudden start making too much money, like more than what I'm used to making, or more than what my subconscious mind thinks is okay for me, or is normal for me, or is what I need, then I do one of 2 things. I either get comfortable and I take my foot off the gas and I start coasting, or I start self-sabotaging to lose the money and get rid of it so that my story will fit back inside my box. Okay, let's say that I'm done really, really, really well on a nutrition plan, and I've been carrying too much weight, and I've been working to release the weight, and I've been exercising well, and I've been eating well, and all of a sudden I'm getting compliments, I'm feeling good about myself, and then boom, something happens, and all of a sudden I'm back binging again to put myself back into my little box of where I think I fit. Same thing with relationships. Every time a relationship starts to go well, I sabotage it in some way if that's the story that I tell myself. So we have these balconies and these basements, and as long as we're living in between them in our comfort zone, we're okay. Everything is fine. Now, when we want to push beyond those is when things get dicey, when things get we're living in the unknown. It's like the wild, wild west, and we don't know what to do out there. So we know that if I'm limitless, if you're limitless, we are capable of living a life beyond our wildest dreams. You are infinitely more powerful beyond your wildest imagination. The problem is that we are keeping ourselves small with a few recurring things. We're keeping ourselves small with the stories we tell. We're keeping ourselves small with our mindset, and we're keeping ourselves small with our emotions. So the emotions are the piece that we are going to tackle today. So we're going to have, again, a very practical but powerful discussion on how to start breaking free from that prison of our emotional addiction. Okay? Now, I'm going to say something that is definitely not politically correct. Okay? And in the world of the cancel culture, it is what it is. Okay? Women are emotional beings, but we are not meant to be. Okay? Now, I'm going to say this again. Women are emotional beings. It's true. Okay? That's what we have become, but we are not meant to live by that definition. You see, we're meant to be spiritual beings who feel deeply and who express emotions deeply, yes, but we're not meant to be emotional beings, meaning that we are our emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, we're not meant to be controlled by our emotions. We're not meant to be the sum total of our emotions. We are so much more. And yet we allow our emotions to hijack our goals, plans, and dreams, and to minimize us to the lowest possible versions, the smallest denominator of ourselves, based on our emotional state and our emotional roller coaster. Why do we do that? Because it's all we've ever seen. We're duplicating what we see. It's like a generational curse. We're duplicating what we see and observe and experience in the world. It's literally all we know, but it doesn't have to be. So let's say, okay, I just wrote down a list here of the most common things that I hear of things that we decide we want to go after or we create. Okay, so let's say I want to lose weight, or I want to exercise more, or I want to speak more kindly to my spouse, or I want to maintain my cool with my kids. Let's say I want to learn a new skill. Okay, maybe I want to learn a new language, or maybe I want to learn coding, or I want to learn social media, okay? Or I want to build a new business, or I want to make more money, or I want to spend less or waste less money. Maybe I want to go to bed earlier. I want to get up earlier. I want to spend less time, on Netflix or social media. Maybe I want to eat less or drink less or smoke less, or I want to carve out time for prayer or, meditation or connecting to my creator daily. Or I want to, I don't know, maybe I even have a noble goal that I want to give more time to charity or good causes. Okay. Now, any of these, when we're in the right headspace, seem totally doable. Do you agree? Of course. Okay. When I'm in the right frame of mind, any of these can be very easy and totally doable when I'm in a good headspace, when I'm feeling the vibe, when I'm feeling motivated or excited or upbeat or happy. And this is the optimal state of mind for sure, but it doesn't always come naturally. Do you agree? If we wait until we feel like it to step into our greatness, we're never going to get there. I actually read a book by, I've mentioned it before. His name is David Goggins, and he's an international athlete, Hall of Fame, former Navy SEAL, like just the, one of the toughest men alive for sure, okay? And he has this theory, and he says, when you think you have given your absolute best in any situation, and you think that you are completely tapped out, you have nothing left to give, and you are on empty, his theory is that when we hit that point, that breaking point, that we're at about 40%. That we still have another 40% left in the tank to give. Because we've conditioned ourselves to stay safe. And it's a self-preservation mechanism. And he tests this theory over and over and over again physically, with his physical health, with his physical, feats that he's always attempting and pushing his body. But he says, all the time people think I'm working on my body, but I'm working on my mind. And my body and what I'm able to do with my body is simply a byproduct of the amount of discipline that I work on mentally. Okay? Now, he also says that motivation is complete garbage. He uses a much stronger word because he is a Navy SEAL. Okay? But we're going to use the word garbage. He says it comes and goes. And we know that is true. And it's like a roller coaster, just like this. And when we are feeling motivated, man, we think we can conquer the world. But what about when that feeling fades, when it dissipates, when that motivation goes away? He says, I work to live every day with a day one, week one mindset. And I was thinking about it. I'm thinking, okay, what about if we as women, if we adopt that own mindset with ourselves? Now, I'm not going out to run a ultra marathon tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going out to do a triathlon. I'm not going out to even do, 40 push-ups tomorrow. But if I, in my own life, know that I want to show up for my family, for my kids, for my purpose, my potential, my career, my parents, my spouse, the people around me, if I want to show up and give my best, the day's going to go by anyway. Why not be my best? Why not live at the limit and the edge of pushing my potential and stepping into excellence and living in my greatness every day, as opposed to living in mediocrity? Because they both require a lot of work. Remaining miserable takes a lot of work. Living in my best also takes a lot of work. It's just different types of hard. So we have to choose our hard. And I'm going to go to bed at night exhausted every night, no matter what. If I have a great day, if I have a tough day, if I give my best. I actually had a mentor that used to say, the worst thing that you can do for your outcome and for your health is to worry. Because worrying, it just creates more stress, it makes you more tired, and it creates paralysis. So I don't actually do anything. I just sit around and I worry and I overthink and I overstress and I overanalyze and I psychoanalyze everything around me. She would say, work, don't worry. Okay. Then I used to have another mentor at the same similar time in my life when I was building my first big business. And she would laugh and she would always say, people around her say, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Everywhere she would go, people were tired. They were busy and tired. And she'd say, you're not tired, you're broke. Because if you were working that hard and you had amazing results, you wouldn't be walking around moaning about how tired you are all the time. But the tiredness is just a mental state, and it's an emotion that's coming from living beneath our best. So if I know that I'm going to go to bed exhausted every night anyway, I can either sleep with integrity or I can sleep with worry. And if I am sleeping with integrity, which means that I am complete with myself and I am complete with my creator, because I have given this day everything I've got and I have nothing left to give, I'm exhausted, but I go to bed. And even in the Kriya Shema, in the bedtime Shema, there is a phrase in the next to last paragraph of Kriya Shema, and it says, when I go to bed, I am sending my neshama, my soul, up to my creator, and I'm sending it filthy. And he's scrubbing it and cleaning it for me and sending it back to me clean, reloaded, and ready to go. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Doesn't say exactly scrubbing and reloading, okay? But it says that I'm sending it and he's sending it back to me clean, which basically means my batteries of my neshama, of my soul, are fully charged and ready to plug in and go for the next day. That's how we can go to bed feeling like we are just beaten, and then somehow we wake up the next morning and we're ready to go again. Especially when you're living with purpose and with passion. Okay? So if you truly want to step into your potential and live your purpose, which for the life of me, I cannot figure out why anyone would want to live this life with any less. Now, I lived a long time not with that mindset, but the moment I woke up to it, and the moment that someone flipped that light switch for me, I cannot imagine going back to living as a consumer and just completely sleepwalking through life. Literally like you're watching a Netflix show. Okay, we're just zombies. That's it. Why would we want to settle for that? If we truly understand and believe that each one of us is here for a purpose, and we're here just like that, and then we move on to the higher worlds and the next life, and we are here in the whole landscape of infinity, and now we're at 5,780 something years, and Hashem picked my neshama and put me right now into Scottsdale, Arizona with my family and my madness and my craziness and all my flaws and all of my circumstances. And the whole point is for me to refine this season of infinity and to give my best and be my best and do my best and experience full-on joy while I'm here. How could I give that up and settle for sleepwalking? How? Because then I'm going to have to account for that at the end. And I know that that's the whole purpose. But it took a lot of rewiring for me, because even on a bad day, I'm like, just give me the Netflix. Okay, it's not worth it today. I'll start tomorrow. I need a day off. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't get to take a day off if we're living for our purpose. But it means that we're living intentionally even on the days off. Even on a bad day, I can acknowledge that I'm not being at my best today, but it's part of the journey. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect all the time. It doesn't mean that we're always going to be, jumping around and skipping around like Tigger, like happy and bouncy and perky all the time, okay? That's not what it means. There are going to be times where we have bad days and times where we want to have a pity party and I just want to go like rock in the fetal position, in my closet. But the goal is to minimize those moments, to minimize those pity parties, and to be able to pick ourselves up. And this is the whole point of today. Who motivates the champion? The champion. And when the buck stops with me, when the buck stops with you, there's no one coming around to save us, to rescue us. So if you want to step into your full potential, nobody's going to do that for you. No one's going to come and do the work for you. There's no, I've yet to see a knight in shining armor, you know, riding in on the white horse to rescue me. Have you? So, you know, there's no Prince Charming, so it means we got to become our own Princess Charming, okay? So no one is going to deliver our dreams to us on a silver platter. Now, we've talked many, many times in this group that our living small serves no one. And the only limit on what we can accomplish and achieve in our lives is the limit on our thinking. And there is nothing to be ashamed about with having big dreams and big goals and big bank accounts. The only thing that we have to ask ourselves is why we're doing it. Are we doing it just to be self-serving consumers, or am I doing it because I know that the more I have, the more I give? The bigger my status, the bigger my influence. So am I doing it from a place of wanting to make the world a better place, or am I doing it from a place of wanting the world to serve me as queen consumer? Okay, that's the inside check that only we will ever know. But the thing is, y'all, if we're waiting for someone to come along and do it for us, it's never going to happen. If I'm waiting on the feeling of motivation, it's never going to happen. Sure, coaches are helpful, and we all could use coaches. Every coach needs a coach, and every therapist needs a therapist. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with getting help, and we all need coaching and inspiration. But we must be able to dial up our discipline and put in the work even when we don't feel like it. Now, if I'm not willing to do that, if I love to read all the books and watch all the videos and the vlogs and listen to all the podcasts, but I don't ever actually apply anything that I'm learning, then, you know, I'm just another self-help junkie looking for a quick fix, because I'm not becoming better with the information that I'm learning. And so that makes me probably then one of the smartest, dumbest people on the planet, because then I know what to do. I'm just choosing not to do it for whatever reason. Now, how do I know that? Honestly, because I've lived it on both sides of the coin. I've had seasons of my life where I have been extremely disciplined and live with very high levels of discipline and execution and seen the results. And then I've lived on the other side where I know exactly what to do, and for the life of me, I could not muster the motivation to do it. And I was waiting on every excuse in the book, and I was just, you know, one big pity party after another. And you can imagine what that outcome looked like as well. But this all boils down to how we feel in any given moment. Do you understand what I'm saying? It all boils down to our emotion, because I'm waiting to feel like it before I get to work and do the thing. So we must be willing to break that cycle of our addiction to the emotional roller coaster, the ups and the downs. And that comes from starting to tell ourselves different stories. Now, here's the thing. It all sounds good and pretty. But what about when you've had the wind just totally knocked out of you? Okay, like somebody betrays you, or somebody gossips about you, or stabs you in the back, or steals from you, or attacks you, or lies to you, or abandons you. Okay? What do we do then? How do we motivate ourselves then? Well, it hurts. There's no doubt. It hurts when things like that happen. But the question is how long we stay there licking our wounds, because the truth is, as hard as it is to absorb, that is also an illusion. Okay? Yes, it happened in this realm, in this world, but it's part of the puppet show. There is no one but Hashem. And everything that is happening to me in my life is orchestrated by Hashem for my best good and for the greatest good of all. Every single thing that happens is a lesson in avodas Hashem. Now, my husband translates this word avodas Hashem. So avoda means work. Okay, Hashem obviously is God. So Modi translates this word. My husband translates this phrase from Hebrew into English of how we work Hashem. I'm like, what? Okay. He's like, yeah, you know how you work Hashem. I'm like, is it a workout? Like, what do you mean? And so he says in Hebrew, it sounds perfect. I'm like, it does not translate to English. But he said it so many times that I now have this visual in my mind of how we work Hashem. So it means that it's literally Hashem. It's like, I'm imagining like this, like a punching bag, okay? And so I'm here and I'm doing the workout and I'm working the situation over and over and over again, trying to get to this certain desired outcome. And that is actually avodas Hashem. That's what it actually means, even though it sounds ridiculous translated from Hebrew to English. So if I understand that if I'm working a situation, it means that I am actively engaged, right? I'm fully involved in it. I'm not just sitting back like pressing the remote, okay? But I'm working. If I'm working a crowd, if I'm working a room, what am I doing? I'm fully in it, right? I'm fully engaged. And that's the same thing with our avodas Hashem. So if I understand, I'll give you an example. I had a very, 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 we've had 3 different HR situations in the last couple of months that we have had to deal with, that every single one of them where we are dealing with highly sensitive situations, very delicate, very public, and in every single one of them, I feel like my soul is gutted. Like somebody just took like one of those, you know, like those shrimp, like fish knives and just like to gut the inside of the fish. And I feel like that's just what's happening to my stomach and my soul every time, because I don't do conflict. I'm a Southern girl, and we just say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and thank you, and bless her heart, and that's it. Like, we don't deal with the complicated things. We just deny, sweep it under the rug, and, you know, until we die. That's it. So, having to learn how to deal with conflicting situations and very highly charged situations that become legal liabilities that I can't run away from, it's not in my nature whatsoever, okay? So these are things that keep me up at night. And as I'm realizing, and I'm working through this, like when I told my husband the topic of today's shir, I said, this is a shir 100% for me. Like, if nobody else shows up, it's only for me, because it's what I needed someone to say to me today and this week, okay? So if I understand that I'm going through these situations that are so tough for me, and they're so uncomfortable, and at least 100 times a day I'm saying, what is it for? Why do I need this? Why is it worth it? I don't need this. And I realize in those moments, okay, I'm failing the test right now because I'm stressed, because I'm worried, because I'm living with anxiety, which means I'm not living with trust in Hashem, and I'm not believing that this is for my best. Because if I understood that the prize and the trophy and all my bells and whistles that I'm living for are on the other side of this path, I would be skipping down the yellow brick road as opposed to hiding under the table. Do you understand? So it means that this is where I need to work Hashem. This is where I need to be fully engaged, because right now, this is the limit of what I believe I can handle. This is where I say, oh, it's too much. It's too much. Stop. but I'm allowing those limits for myself. I'm saying it's too much for me. And by using those words, I am literally defining my own reality and my own smallness. So this is how we work Hashem in our daily life. So each one of us has our ways where we say, oh, it's too much. It's too much. I don't want to play anymore. I want out. But we must learn to live with the day one, week one attitude. You know what day one, week one is, right? Like on any diet or a workout plan, you're like, yes, I got this. Why? Because you're living in the euphoria of this fun, amazing decision that you made while everything still seems fun and exciting. But of course, by day 4, day 5, what's it like? Okay, day 21, we don't even remember what we said on day 1. It was like it's so far gone. So there is no address but Hashem. Everything around me is a puppet show. It's all part of the puppet show. It's an illusion. It's like a video game. Have you seen the movie The Matrix, 20 years ago, whatever it was now? It's such a perfect metaphor for real life. There is nothing real about that life that we are 1,000% caught up in. And we can eject and unplug from that and wake up to our own reality. I mean, especially with social media and with all the nonsense of this fake Instagram culture, okay? It's not real. It's not there. There's no address but Hashem. So, what is Geula right now? Very, very simply, it is stepping out of our small-mindedness. That's it. It's embracing our true greatness and rewiring our brains to absorb our true expansiveness. You are limitless. You are limitless. We're all limitless. This is how many, at the risk of sounding repetitive, how many times per day are we told no? Can't. You can't. You can't. You can't. You're not allowed. Don't have the money. Don't have the budget. Don't have the time. Limits, 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 limits everywhere, telling us we're limited and we're confined and this is the size of our box and this is how big we can play. So I want to be as repetitive as all those no's that we are told all day, every day, that this is who you are, this is your small place, this is your comfort zone. Heck no! So if I'm limitless, and I believe it for maybe 5 seconds a day, but what about when I'm tired? Or when I've had a bad day? You know how many times I sing that song in my head? Well, I've had a bad day. And I'm like, no, I have to rewire that. Okay? Or what if when I'm sick? Here's what I've learned, my friend. You can always negotiate with your body to find more strength. You can negotiate with your mindset to find more discipline. You can negotiate, and this is a new one that I've been working on for the last few months. You can negotiate with your animal soul to shut it up and kick it to the back seat. How do we do that? By elevating our godly soul. You know, they say grass is always greener on the other side. It's hogwash. Grass is not greener on the other side. Grass is greener where you water it. Okay? Just like, the story of the red dog and the white dog, and whichever dog you feed more grows and then eats and consumes the other dog. So which one do you want to feed? Do you want to feed the red, problematic, angry, hairy dog? Or do you want to feed the white, peaceful, tranquil, trustworthy, easy street dog? Okay, so whichever one I'm going to feed grows. And you can't fight darkness with darkness. So if I'm trying to fight my animal soul, remember what we learn in Tanya is that the whole purpose of life is this friction, this constant friction between the animal soul and the godly soul. That's the whole purpose of life. It's not that the animal soul goes away completely and we experience no friction. That's not, we're not the ultimate tzaddikim where that's our path. Even though the Rebbe says that in today's world we are all tzaddikim and we can all live like tzaddikim, true, complete tzaddikim have different avoda. Okay? And we also learn that where a Baal Tshuva stands, that a tzaddik can never experience, because the tzaddik never has the joy. A perfectly righteous individual never has the joy and the fulfillment and the gratitude of coming back from the depths of the pit. And that is something that a Baal Tshuva has, someone that has worked and grown and made a lot of self-corrections has. Okay? So if I'm a Baal Tshuva, if I'm someone that is always working today to make myself better than yesterday, and I am working on self-improvement all the time, and I'm looking at where I've come from and where I want to go, and I'm looking at all these obstacles in my way. Some of them are physical obstacles, maybe it's money or time or conflicts, maybe, but a lot of these, most of our conflicts and resistance are mental. It's mostly our emotional state. It's our mindset. It's our small-mindedness. It's all those old victimizing high drama stories that we tell ourselves. So if I understand that this friction between my godly soul and my animal soul is the whole purpose of life, and as I'm working Hashem through this situation, it's like this constant strife is happening, but yet I'm on an upward trajectory the whole way. So even though there's conflict, I'm still moving in an upward direction. Sometimes it looks like this, little by little by little, but I'm still going in an upward motion. Okay? So this is the whole purpose of life, is working on myself to become my best self, to make a place for Hashem in this world that I am elevating and refining. And it's not me just doing Hashem a favor. Okay, that's where we're missing the boat. It's not, okay, fine, I guess I'm going to do it if it's what I have to do. And so then I'm acting literally like my tzedakah is doing Hashem a favor. And we've got it all wrong. Because it's Hashem that is doing us the ultimate kindness. And we're waking up from living a lie in the physical world. And we're now realizing and appreciating, oh my gosh, look at all this chesed. Look at all this kindness that Hashem does for me every single day. Look, my hands work. I heard somebody ask me the other day, did you ever get a bill for your eyes? No, my eyes both work fine. Have you ever had to try to pay for an eye to be replaced? Few $1 million. Okay, if you have a heart replacement or a knee replacement, hundreds of thousands into the millions of dollars. But Hashem didn't send us a bill. We've got 2 feet, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, nose, ears, all the organs, everything working properly. And we just take it for granted. The sense of entitlement is real. But Hashem put us here with this entire mirage and video game around us, and it's our job to see through that and to stay focused on why we're here. But here's the biggest missing piece. We think if we do what Hashem wants, we suffer. We think I can't be bothered to do it because it pushes me out of my comfort zone. And the part that we're missing is that everything we ever think we wanted in life is waiting on the other side of that. All the joy that we're waiting to experience is there. But we're so caught up living this lie and drinking the Kool-Aid that we've missed the whole thing. And remember, if I understand the whole purpose is for me to experience that friction between my godly soul and my animal soul, and all the emotions, all the lies, all the mindset, all the small-mindedness, all that stuff that is coming at me every day through my devices, my tablets, my smartphones, Netflix, the algorithm, okay? Everything that's coming at me is a part of the test. It's a part of this friction. And I can't fight that with fire. I can't fight that darkness by trying to attack it. You know, the Rebbe says a little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness. And the best way to fight the darkness is simply to turn on the light. Because if I try to argue with my animal soul, if I try to negotiate with my animal soul, I'll lose. Okay? If I come home grumpy, cranky, dejected, and tired, all I want to do is grab a bottle of wine, a bag of chips, and the remote control. And then I'm going to sit there with my own little personal pity party, and my animal soul wants to be soothed, right? Okay? My ego wants to be validated. And my godly soul is nowhere to be found. He's asleep somewhere else. Okay? But instead, if I take a quick shower and listen to a motivational podcast or the Bitachon Daily Audio that I'm constantly talking about, I can transform my entire mindset almost instantaneously. Or if I go to bed early and then I get up early, okay, if I go to bed, I get a good night's sleep and I wake up early the next morning to journal or to work out, I can take back my power, and I don't have to let the fact that I had a tough night turn into a disaster of a week where I just went off fell off the wagon and was a pathetic pity party, living on the program of autopilot for a whole week, where I've been telling myself, for the past year, life is too hard. It's not fair. It shouldn't be this way. Why is it so difficult? Wah, wah, wah. Okay? But what if we learn? What if we just play this game with ourselves? Okay? Whatever you're feeling. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and we're going to wrap up with this. What if we started to play this game with ourselves? Again, we're negotiating with our mindset, so that even when life is hard and ugly, we can still show up and be our best. So what if we learn to view our obstacles and our hardships as a reality show in the world championship on the world stage of life? Okay, these like Desperate Housewives and Real Housewives of Atlanta and all these crazy reality shows are around us all the time. So it's not so hard to imagine what this is like, okay? But what if I realize that I'm actually in the most epic video game reality show of all time on the world stage of life, and how we receive these challenges will determine if we bring home the trophy, if we win the $1 million check. So in other words, if we can truly receive each blow as a lesson that we're internalizing to make us stronger, because that's what the Baal Shem Tov tells us that it is. Everything that we see, even the people that drive us crazy and annoy us the most, there's something inside of us that we're reflecting there that we need to learn about and see what we can internalize about that, okay? So if I imagine that the world is watching, I know my creator is always watching, my kids are always watching, and they're absorbing my energy way more than just the words that I say. So if I can understand that each one of these tests are there to make me stronger, wiser, better, smarter, what if I can receive those lessons with love and grace without the emotional drama at every single turn, imagining that I'm playing this out as the model that I want my kids to see, or the legacy that I want to leave for my children and grandchildren? I wonder how much better we would handle the hardships if we would just put that little flash of daylight between us and our responses based on what we've been learning the last few weeks of those stories that we're writing. Because if you think about it, that's actually the truth. We are here in an epic battle between light and darkness. And you have been given a test that only you can handle. Only you can pass. Stella, whatever your tests are, I would fail them. I would fail them miserably. There's no way I could pass them. Okay, same thing with each one of you. So we can either pass those tests with grace and become wiser and better, or we can implode or explode with every single hardship. Just constantly getting beat up in the ring. Everybody's familiar with divine providence? Divine providence, okay? Hashgacha pratis, Baruch Hashem, okay? When we say that with such a passivity, just in a passive way, Yes, it's true. Everything is divine providence. Yes, everything is for the best. Yes, everything is from Hashem. But am I saying it as like, all right, I guess I gotta suck it up and deal with it? You know, like it's a pill that I have to swallow? Or am I excited about it because I understand this is like everything that I need for my absolute best? So if I'm just saying Baruch Hashem or thank God or everything's, you know, it is what it is or everything's meant to be or everything in the perfect timing, it's all true. But it's also very low level. So how do we know if we've arrived? What are we aiming for? What's the benchmark that we're aiming for? There's one ultimate litmus test, and it comes back to our emotions. The one absolute litmus test for if we have emotional mastery, and if we have, which by the way, emotional mastery comes from faith and trust in Hashem. But the one ultimate litmus test is our mindset. Do I have peace of mind? Am I tranquil? Do I have restful joy? Or am I saying, yeah, Hashem's going to handle it. I trust Hashem, but yet meanwhile I can't sleep because I'm so worried about how I'm going to pay rent tomorrow. And there's no time like Pesach to test this awareness, okay? You know, the Rebbe says, we all have to remember that dust is not chametz and children are not the korban Pesach. Okay, so for those of you that are turning your house upside down, cleaning it this week and next week, and, you know, putting your tinfoil everywhere and your contact paper everywhere and swapping out all the furniture and the utensils, we do the things because we're commanded to do them. But if we're doing them void of joy, we're completely missing the point. So, our test for this week, our assignment for this week is being aware of our emotional state, being aware of our mindset, and the moment you find yourself feeling cranky, feeling off center, feeling victimized, feeling sad, lonely, angry, stressed, afraid, realize that you can flick those away, just like the Alter Rebbe says, like a flick of the wrist. They're just a test. They're not real. And you can completely shift to a different, higher emotional state simply by deciding, I want to go higher. And you are truly limitless. The only reason we stay and we remain settled for these low-level, stressful emotions is because we're addicted to that pattern. So we're going to rise above that. We're going to notice these emotions and we're going to say, I don't have to stay here. And we're going to switch the thought, switch the thought, and focus on switching those thoughts for the next week and just switching to a different emotion, truly saying, okay, how am I feeling right now? What feeling, what emotion am I holding? If I'm angry, why am I angry? What about the video game made me angry? What about the puppet show made me angry? When I can stop and look at, hey, this is really a puppet show. Why would I get angry at a puppet show? And I want you to just, it's a constant rewiring of the brain. It is very repetitious. Because that mindset, you know how we develop a personality? We develop our personalities through mindsets and habits that become a part of our psyche through lifelong repetition. So forgive me for being repetitious, but we have to be to do the brainwashing and the rewiring that is necessary. I love you. Have an amazing week. Shabbat shalom. Bye, everybody.